Can you hear me? No, you guys are sleeping. Can you hear me?
Yes.
You're still sleeping. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you. So, hi everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Christian George, and myself, I am an electronics and telecommunication engineer who happens to be working in a company called Edutech. It's about education solution technologies. I am a STEM invention advisor. Yeah, my designation sounds very cool. STEM invention advisor, but I don't get paid a lot, so it's not a big deal. So what I do basically in my work is I go to schools and I meet students. And I have some of my students here also with us in the room, so I hope that they will agree with my ideas and speech today. I go to schools, I don't teach. I go to schools to sit with students, to have brainstorming sessions, to do projects and make education fun and make them like what they're doing. And then I end up getting offer letters from the school, but I'll not accept it because I am loyal to my company. However, the topic that I want to speak with you today is STEM education. If we have any people in the education field here with us in the room, they will actually get to know what is STEM. Anyone here knows what STEM stands for? Not my students? Please. What does it stand for?
Science, technology, engineering, and math.
Science, technology, engineering, and math. Those core 4 subjects that are being taught in different curriculum that we study. Now, ironically, those 4 subjects are the most hated subjects that I did back in my school, and I ended up working in a field that teaches STEM. Now, STEM, basically, it's about how you can teach science in your math class, how you can teach design in your physics class, and how you can integrate all these 4 core topics into one class, rather than you have a room for physics, a room for art, and a room for music, and so on. Yeah, as you see in this picture, these guys are board students. Here's Susan. She's thinking maybe about her boyfriend and what time she's going to meet him. You have also there Jack. Poor Jack is just thinking what time I'm going to leave because I want to have food, I'm hungry. And here's Sophie, for example, that maybe she's thinking about her next meet. Yes, and here's a teacher who's there in the classroom trying to teach about conductivity and how conductive material works. So basically, the teacher is in the classroom, but not in the classroom. Students are in the classroom, but not in the classroom. This is wrong. And I took this job for almost a year now because I have a vision and I want to change that. And we started changing it in mostly all the schools in Dubai, public or private sector. What is the idea behind this? This is not acceptable because students are sitting in the classroom, but they are not in the classroom. What we have to do basically, we have to make them interested in the subject that you are teaching as an educator. They have to like what they are doing in the class, not just being there for the sake of being there. I'd like to stop at this sentence here by Albert Einstein. He says that it's not that I'm so smart, it's just that I stay with problems no longer. Now, if I look at the students in schools, and if I try to relate this to whatever Albert Einstein said, actually I see potential in students. I mean, we see brilliant students, creative students who actually are there to be creative and come up with new ideas and work on it. But actually, us as educators, are we really giving them enough time to spend on the problem? Or us, as educators, we're just going there, standing, giving whatever we have to do, and then just make sure that they get the mark and go on, pass on, and get our salaries at the end of the month. So actually, we as educators, we are teaching the following. We are teaching very beautiful, detailed content, and we are giving them exactly what they want, but is that what we actually need as educators? I'll ask you a question, and please raise your hand if you've been in a classroom where the teacher comes in, starts talking, and then the students are just sitting there and they just leave the class without anyone understanding anything. Have any one of you been in that? Yeah, all of us. So this is the thing. I'm sorry if there are any teachers here, we're trying to change it, so please. Now, this is the situation that we're trying to change. Okay, anyone here would like to have a chocolate cake? Oh, I'm sorry, we don't give chocolate cakes, it's just for an example. However, I'll give you this scenario, and please agree with me. I'm going to give you 2 scenarios, and then you tell me which one's going to work. I like chocolate cake, okay? And then I have an event in which I have to bake a chocolate cake, but I don't know how to make a chocolate cake. So I'll go to, what's your good name?
Lena.
Do you know how to make a chocolate cake?
If I have the packer.
Exactly, if she has what she needs. So I'll come to someone who knows how to make a chocolate cake. Okay, what's your good name? Farah. I'll come to Farah, I'll ask her, Farah, I have an event and I want to make a chocolate cake. What shall I do? She'll tell me, Chris, you need to have 1 cup of flour, 1 cup of sugar, half a cup of oil, and 1 cup of cocoa powder. I'll take those ingredients, I'm gonna go home, I'm gonna bake, I'm gonna make my chocolate cake, I will eat it, I will like it, end of story. Now, the question.
A text message.
Sorry? Oh, sure. So, the question is, next week, I got another event in which I want to make a chocolate cake. So, I don't know how to make chocolate cake. I'm just gonna call Farah again. Farah, help me, I need to make chocolate cake, what shall I do? So she's like, Chris, I just told you last week. You need to remember what exactly I need to make a chocolate cake. This was scenario 1. Now take with me scenario 2. I need to make a chocolate cake, and I'll go again to Farah, and I'll tell her, Farah, I need to make a chocolate cake, I have an event. She will say, how shall I do that cake? Tell me. She'll be like, Chris, you need flour, you need cocoa powder, you need oil, and you need sugar. Without she telling me exactly what I need to do. What I will do is I'll go buy those things, and then go try to bake my chocolate cake. At the first try, I'm gonna get a very dark chocolate because the ratio of sugar to cocoa is not right. At the second try, I'm gonna put some more oil, I'm gonna get a sloppy cake, it's not gonna work. Third time, fourth time, fifth time, I'm actually going to get a proper chocolate cake. Now what's the point of, do you agree with me, or you agree like, if I do it myself, I'm gonna remember and I'm gonna do properly, although with many trials. Now, if we're going to relate that to education, do you remember my first example that I gave about conductivity? Let's say you are a teacher and you want to teach about conductive materials, like aluminium is conductive and wood is not conductive. Scenario number 1, I'm a teacher, I'll come to the classroom and I'll say, guys, aluminium is conductive, wood is not conductive, tomorrow I have an exam for this. Great. Tomorrow students will come, will be asked this question, and one student will answer. Aluminium is not conductive and wood is conductive. Great, very nice. Why? Because students are actually not doing anything with their hands. They're just imagining. Theoretically, teacher told them this, and then went and they by-hearted it, and then they failed. The idea is, if I will teach the same about conductivity, here's my solution. As a teacher, I'll go to the classroom, and I'll tell them, hi guys, we're going to speak about conductivity. There are materials who are conductive, and materials who are not conductive. You have to go and research. Try wood, try water, try aluminium, try iron, and then you tell me, come back with a paper or a research or a project or a presentation and tell me which material is conductive and not. Do you agree with me that if there was an exam, not the second day, after a month, and the same student is asked, is aluminium conductive, is he going to give the right answer or the wrong answer? Because he did it himself. And this will lead me to this. STEM education basically develops the 21st century skills, which are problem solving and critical thinking, using something that I like to call project-based learning. Means you will give students a project, work on it, learn from it. Do not learn from me. Me as an educator, I'm not a teacher anymore. In the classroom, I am a facilitator, not a teacher anymore. I will be there to help my students, not to give them instruction about what they need to do. I'm going to give you this beautiful example of one of the schools who told me that I cannot use the name. However, I've been to one of the schools that the concept that they're trying to teach were about smart cities. You know, everyone now is working about smart cities and how we can do Dubai smarter. So I told the teacher, instead of you go and then give them task 1, 2, 3, 4, let's have a brainstorming session with them. What I did actually, we came up with some projects like smart building, smart lighting system, smart parking, smart counters so that we can count how many people are getting into the room. And then I divided my students into groups, in which one of the groups, they were my engineers. One of the groups, they were my designers, and the other group were my architects. Basically, I assigned them. And what did I tell them? Guys, I'm not a teacher over here. I am an inspector. I'm going to tell you what I need, and you have to try doing it. And then I will come and I will inspect what you have done. You should see all the hype that happened in the class. People here, there, shouting, screaming like, I'm the electronics engineer, I'm the software engineer. Everyone was doing stuff over there. Now, there are some students in the classroom who can't just go with this hype. Because they're not that good, right? So we have to be careful of those guys as well. So we can't expect everyone in the classroom to be at the same level of understanding. So these guys, whatever they built, I was actually worried because they created prototypes. Prototypes. When I was in 3rd grade, I never used the word prototype. But by using these new words, you as educators, you're going to get the attention of your students rather than them just sitting there and hearing that present tense is used here and here. No, when they use new words, you captivate them. However, let's go back to those poor guys who couldn't do their work. Now, I was a little bit afraid that everyone is showing off about their project, but these guys, their project didn't work. So what's gonna happen? I was worried about how bad they will feel because I didn't help them. But actually, I was surprised because what they told me, Chris, it's not working, but what we did is we took 3 steps back, and then when we reached to this specific point, we came to know that we connected the positive instead of the negative and the negative instead of the positive, without me telling anything. So what I saw in front of me is a very beautiful example of the beautiful engineering design process. Like if you want to create a new product, this is what you do. You go step by step. So students, they came up with this world of troubleshooting before me telling them what's going to happen. So what they learned to DIY it, means do it yourself. I have this I use in my classroom, ask 3 before me, and guys in SAIS, they know it. So before I give you an answer, ask 3 people. So ask 3 before me, because I'm not here to give answers. I'm here to support. I'm here to inspire. Not you guys, hopefully you, but in the classroom, I'm there to inspire, not to teach. So, soft skills also were there in the classroom. After my project was done, and as you can see, it's there in the picture, we have smart home, smart parking, and using cool, craft and material, and they cut and they built this. Some students came on the stage, and they were presenting their project, and this challenge were there, like, my project looks better, your project looks better. So in the same class that you were teaching this smart home and how to do it, actually we taught them soft skills, such as presentation skills, how confident they can be staying on stage and talking to people and speaking about their project. What made my students do this project actually? I'm sure you've heard of this new word, the design thinking. Anyone familiar with this word, design thinking? You've heard of this word? So what is design thinking? Basically, design thinking, it's that process that starts with finding a problem and then identifying a solution for this problem. We, as lazy teachers, we go to the classroom, we give solutions. What we need to do is we need to give problems and let those guys go and find a solution for this problem. How? By following this beautiful design thinking where you start defining what is your problem, empathize about it, think why you need to find a solution. Is it worth it all your time to do that? And then carry on to ideate, prototype. Your prototype will never be the same. If you could keep on enhancing it and fail and enhance again with the teacher's supervision until you reach your product. Rather than me just coming to the classroom and telling you, do 1, 2, 3, and then you do 1, 2, 3, and then you go home, I get my salary, you get an A+, and we're done. Why design thinking is very important? Because students, I can see they're creative, and they have the idea that they want to speak about. So it can start with an idea, like I want to create something which is not there. And then that idea will become into a sketch. They will start the drawing. And that sketch can become a prototype. From a prototype, it can become a project. And if that was a real good project, we can find investors for this project, and that can become a product. So what did I teach in design thinking? I taught entrepreneurship. So basically, if students have a good idea to do, I'm not going to stop them by telling, no, your curriculum says you have to do 1, 2, 3, do 1, 2, 3, do your exam. This was in my days and your days. These days, we have to find new ideas. We have to make students ready to develop their ideas by doing design thinking and critical thinking to come up to the project, and then make them believe that it is easy, that you can start your own company, not ending up like me working for a company and then waiting for my salary in the end of the month, praying that I don't get late salaries because I have my company. So if I do this and I tell students, you're going to be your COO, you're going to be your own company, I'm going to make them feel like entrepreneurship is not that big word. You might be thinking to yourself, we're here for a TED Talk and this guy is speaking about STEM education. How come he ended up by entrepreneurship? Because that's the idea. Future work requires people with entrepreneurship mind without even them being there. However, I'll try to speak about STEM and STEAM now. Do you know what STEAM is? STEAM, not STEM. What's this A? Art. Thank you so much. Like, if you were not in the STEM or the STEAM or the education field, I'm gonna get this lame joke where people are like, yeah, Chris, STEAM is that thing that comes out of the vibe. This is lame. That's not STEAM. STEAM basically is where you can add the word A, art. Now, in your classroom where you're teaching about robotics, electronics, programming, you see there is one student over there who's not there in your classroom. That student over there who's sitting and he's not interested in robotics. That's fine. Our job is how we can bring that student to do robotics by introducing art. How you can introduce art? If you tell that, remember the smart project that we have done, the smart home? the body at that home can be actually 3D printed. And this guy over there is a designer, he's not a technology guy. That guy over there can have a role in my project by telling him, why don't you build the house, the structure of my house, 3D design it, 3D print it, and bring it to the project. Question for you guys. Do you think this student who doesn't like electronics, but he contributed by giving me the body of my house, if I tell him, come John, for example, hey, this is your building, you think he's going to be interested to see how electronics are going to be implemented on his design or not? Right? So this is how I brought a guy who's there on his Snapchat into the classroom to do something, to have a role, and then ending up in the same team rather than being sitting there over there. So this is why we introduced the letter A, which is art to STEM, because it is fine to teach art in technology, in engineering, because all these aspects, they complement each other, which gives you the STEM education. There is a very, do we have parents in this room? I have a very honest message to all the parents sitting in this room. STEM education does not mean that your kids have to go and get straight A's. Because in the same classroom, like, I'm sorry mom, but the history class that I bunked when I was in the robotics class made me here today. You know, the geography class that I bunked because I was programming made me reach here. Don't expect your kids, your children, to like all the subjects and get straight A's in all the subjects, because that is wrong. You have to find what actually your kid like. Do you like robotics? Do you like art? Are you into fashion? And try to develop and enhance those skills, because this is going to take him places. You never know, he might be the next football player. He might be the next designer who will create the most expensive dress. So please, don't just go there and make them, you have to get straight A's, I'm paying for your school, you need to get good marks. No, this is wrong. This was the past. Now we have to find what we actually need to have with our students, with our children. Not just get straight A's, because STEM is not like that. I'm going to give you a very last example of how any physics, we all studied physics, right? Hopefully, we all studied physics. Here's this example. I'm a teacher, I'll go to the classroom, I'll be like, let car X, or let car Tesla, travel at the speed 20 kilometers per hour for a distance of 10 kilometers, calculate the time. We all did this one day, right? So teacher will be giving you a formula, and you have to just by heart that formula, and then put the numbers back in that formula and can calculate the time for him, right? This is how we did it. How I do it these days when I go to schools, here's the scenario. Let car Tesla stop. Guys, you have to build the car. Here are some motors, here are some craft, here are some things to create your cars. And they will create the car. Travel at speed 20 kilometers per hour. Guys, group number 2 have to create a timer for me in which they can set it up that my car is traveling at traveling at specific speed or time. Another group will go measure the distance. Now the difference between both scenarios, you as educators still you taught that physics and distance and speed, and here's the formula, but instead of the student is just a receiver in the classroom, what happened is that they actually made it. They did it themselves. They did the project-based learning. So it's the same concept, but by students doing it. And they will never forget that formula, even if you swipe things or change numbers. But us as educators, sometimes I've seen it. They give a problem in the classroom, and next morning in the exam, they will just keep the same problem with the same numbers. How are you going to make a creative generation by giving him the same example, the same numbers? At least change the number. I always tell this to teachers, and honestly, they get offended, but I don't care. I took this job because I have a message. I have a vision, and I'm going to change it, and I started changing it. When I grow up, I'm going to be an inventor. This is wrong, because I am an inventor now. This is what I tell my students, whether they're in 3rd grade, whether they are at the 11th grade. You are an inventor now. You're not going to be an inventor. I am going to be an engineer. No, you are an engineer. I'm going to be a fashion designer. You are a fashion designer. Do not wait till tomorrow. Start working from now. Eventually, what is my goal? I want to empower everyone to create inventions. Because inventions, big or small, they are making differences. And you never know, that student who is sitting there in your history class and not paying attention, he might be the next Facebook. He might be the next Snapchat. He might be the next Tesla. Because history doesn't bother him. What he likes is technology. So my final message for you, I'm sorry I bored you with my speech, but I hope that delivered the message. My message for you is that you never follow the old way of teaching. It might be hard, but everyone starts somewhere. And we're always ready to help. to take you to the next further and make you feel like you are a teacher, sorry, you're not a teacher anymore, you are a facilitator. And trust me, once you as a parent or as a facilitator see that the project that your student did with the minimum help from you, you see them on the stage, they're speaking about their project, myself, I feel very happy and proud. And I hope that I delivered my message properly. Thank you so much for your attention.